Welcome to Culture Before Content. Culture Before Content, from Music for All and presented by Yamaha. And now, here's your host, David Duarte.
Hey, welcome to the show. I'm David Duarte, your host for Culture Before Content. Whether you're watching live or catching a replay, I'm so glad you're here. We have another great guest and an excellent conversation ahead. Should be entertaining. I'm just saying. So get ready. It's going to be great. At Music for All and within the Culture Before Content community, our mission is to create, provide, and expand positively life-changing experiences through music. And none of that happens without support. And we are so incredibly grateful to Yamaha, our national presenting sponsor, for helping us bring this mission to life. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you're watching live, now's your chance to be a part of the conversation. We've had a lot lately. It's been super fun. Drop a comment on the YouTubes. Did I just say the YouTube's? Drop a comment on YouTube or Facebook, and we might feature it here on the show. If you want to hear from you, it would be great. Whether it's a shout out, a question, or something that stands out to you, jump in and be a part of the conversation. If you're catching the replay, you can catch the full episode anytime on Facebook or YouTube. It's perfect for revisiting those key moments or watching at your own pace. But if you prefer to listen on the go, audio episodes drop every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other major platforms, so you can stay connected wherever you are. For all the latest episodes and past conversations, please visit musicforall.org/podcast. It's your go-to destination for everything Culture Before Content. All right, let's talk a little bit about last week. We had such an amazing guest last week. So much fun. I had a great time. We interviewed Linda Pulley. She is a dynamic band director from No Middle School in Kentucky. She shared her journey from high school to middle school teaching and how she built a thriving band culture even during COVID-19. Always fun for all of us to talk about, isn't it? Her philosophy is, if you carry your instrument, it will carry you. I love that. And it drives her approach. She emphasizes high expectations, structured practice, and student leadership. Her program has earned national recognition. She's preparing students for a few conferences coming up, and it's amazing. She stays motivated through her mentorship, performing in local ensembles, and cooking. Gotta love cooking. Her message is clear: build relationships, create excellence, and inspire students through music. It was truly an inspiring conversation. And thanks again, Linda. It was great. All right, let's get to the point why we're all here, because it's always more fun. I'm thrilled to welcome today's guest. It is Shannon Crepps, an outstanding music educator and passionate advocate for student-centered learning. She is the director of bands at Saeger Middle School in Cottleville, Missouri, where she leads the 7th and 8th grade bands, the jazz band, the jazz workshop, and she also teaches the Spartan Community Band, which we're going to talk about, I hope. Additionally, she serves as an assistant director for the Spartan Regiment marching band at Francis Howell Central High School. So let's spend some time discussing how all this comes together, because that's how culture works. We all do it our way, and success follows. So please prepare for an inspiring conversation, and please welcome to the show, Miss Shannon Crepps.
Hello.
Woo! How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I think we're doing good. If I could get through like half of these intro things and like try to remember what my mouth and my brain, they get kind of disconnected every so. I apologize, audience. It does happen. But let's talk a little bit about, because you have so much on your plate. Like as I read the introductions, I'm like, we got the school stuff, we've got the outside of school stuff, and you have even more outside of school stuff and other school stuff. So why don't you just talk about a little bit about what you do, your main thing, and all the other things that you do.
Sure. All right. So I teach, this is my 20th year teaching, and all of them have been in the same school district, Francis Howell, here in Missouri. And this is my 19th year at the same position. So I'm the director of bands at Saeger Middle School. I teach all of the beginning band classes throughout the day, and as well co-teach 7th and 8th grade band. We have two outside of the school day extracurricular jazz bands. And I also work as an assistant director for a lot of the high school things. We share a campus. So we're really fortunate with that setup. The high school is right across the parking lot. And so I've been an assistant director for the marching band for all of those 19 years as well. And I do some other things. My colleagues and I work kind of to make it a vertical team as much as possible. And so I travel across the parking lot sometimes to do some concert band things with the freshmen and basketball basketball, pep band, and all of that stuff. Then I also, as you mentioned in the intro, lead the Spartan Community Band, which is a community ensemble that features our students and alumni and community members on our campus as well.
So let me make sure I understand that right. So it's kind of combined with the current students and the community.
That's correct. Yeah, it's any students seventh grade or older, so seventh or eighth grade band students, high school band students, and then alumni, community members, staff members, parents, grandparents.
Oh, and to our audience, it just popped up. But if you want to check out the website for the school, it's Saeger, which is Saeger, SpartanBands.com. So all one word, Saeger, SpartanBands.com. It's kind of funny when you're reading it. Almost looks like it's Saeger's Spartan Band. Like I cannot break up words apart. But that is actually fascinating. That's actually where I would like to start the conversation. Like, what's the impact been with mixing everybody? And it's obvious it works because I think that's a genius idea. So like, what's kind of been the impact of having the youngers working with some of the older kids and even the community?
Sure. The idea I took from another band director in our district way back in 2012, and she had started a band to bring in. She wanted to get the parents to come in and play, and kind of see what their students were going through. And I loved that. I thought that was a great way to have our community, our parents, our kids' family members kind of understand what they do in the band room, because so often if you haven't been in a band room, you don't really know. And so I thought, well, let's try that on our campus. It's just grown. It was about 60 to 65 members that first year. This year we had 150 people
Whoa.
perform this past Monday night. And so it's just grown and grown and grown. And it's really cool for me. It started out to be kind of a community-based thing, but it was also a way for me to still stay connected to all of those high school kids who had left my middle school program, or all of the alumni who had, graduated even from high school. I also invited, friends of mine that I knew lived in the area and didn't have a place to play anymore, and teachers and staff and principals. And the seating chart is intentional. So we intentionally seat middle school kids next to high school kids, or parents next to their own children, so they get to play. There were so many pairs of students and parents playing next to each other this year. That was really neat to see. And impact wise, it's just become a huge community building event for us. It's only 5 rehearsals, 5 Monday nights starting in January or February. We do the concert in March because it's Music in Our Schools month. But it's become a huge, just a symbol really of everything that's kind of important to me as a band director, to our program. We really value community and family, and to give those people a chance to play together is just really important to me. It's inspiring to me. There's this year's band. But it's neat because it becomes its own recruiting tool. Some of those middle school kids meet the high school kids that they will get to be in the band with in a year or two or down the road. It's become its own support system. I mean, we have so many alumni that played this year, and I have band parents whose kids are long gone from the program, and they still come to play, and they stay connected in that way. The principal who first hired me for my first teaching job played this year, and I ran into him at the state conference, and he asked if he could join us, and of course he can join us. So it's a very cool. Kind of just it sums up my whole career sometimes when I'm standing in front of that band. It's like current students and former students and parents and teachers and principals and everybody that has kind of formed my band world is right there in front of me. So it's really neat.
Yeah, the thing about this show that I always tell everybody is, for somehow it's just us having a conversation, and for those of you listening, but for me it becomes like professional development. So I get to type my notes inside of there. I'm like, 5 Monday nights, get the community involved. Because it's, one of the things I've noticed, as being a former administrator, like you said, the magic words, you got vertical articulation going on. And I think that is such an amazing thing, because I mean, just the way that I think that it helps. And I think it's great because not only you preparing those kids for moving forward, but you're also staying, that continuous contact with them must be extremely powerful for them. And it just kind of shows off that amazing community sport. Oh, and I was just looking at the t-shirts. I like the t-shirts, and to me, that big word community across the top is just amazing, and just neat to see all the age ranges. But we just got a comment from Brad Black. You must Shannon is incredible. My children started their band journey in the middle school where she teaches, then into high school marching band, and now I'm part of the community band that she leads. So it has all come first circle, and that again, that's just amazing to me. On some of the stuff, is there other thing, some of the things that you've had to, like, things that you've learned or picked up, or some advice if this sounds like something people should do?
Well, I mean, it can be a big undertaking, but I think that the first thing is just to start small. Start with what you've got. I mean, when I started it in 2012, it was just me, and I just advertised it the best that I could, and again, about 60 people signed up. I had no idea what instrumentation or what numbers I would get, and I really was nervous about how to plan the literature for it, because you don't really get a lot of take back time in 5 rehearsals. You get what you get, and you can't redo anything. So I planned on the lighter side that year for sure, because I was like, let's make sure it's doable. And I think that from there, it starts to kind of become its own thing. It recruits for itself, and it's really expanded. Of course, now this year with 150 people, I mean, this was one of the first. This year and last year were like the first 2 years where there were people who signed up that I had never heard of, and I was like, who is that person on the list? And it was because alumni were inviting people that they played with in college who also lived in town to come play with them. You need a place to play, come here, and it's really given our band community it reminds them that they still have a home even after they graduate. They still have a place to come and be a part of the band, even if it's not their chosen career. They can continue to play. So I think from an advice standpoint, I would just say start with what you have. Start small, and don't feel like it has to be a huge thing to start with, because it certainly wasn't the first year that we did it, or even the second or third year. I mean, it was a smaller group, and we did it combined with a couple of other events at our school first, and then as it grew, it kind of became its own night and its own event. And 3 years ago, we started a jazz band as a part of it too. So now there's a community concert band and a community jazz band, and this year we had 75 people who wanted to be in the jazz band. So it doesn't exactly work that way, but it again has become a whole event and a whole night. And at the beginning I could do it by myself, and then it became so large that I couldn't. And so then it gives you a chance to bring in other staff members and colleagues of yours to work with the band too. And it again, it can take whatever shape I think fits your culture, whatever fits your band and your program.
Yeah, what a horrible problem, having too many people for
Right.
pulling some of those things off. All right. Well, let's talk about Saeger for a minute. So, it's, to me, that's cool. We started with the community event, but let's talk about Saeger, because I think, the reason I always say bringing people on the show, I love to find out what makes things tick. I mean, success is, it's I call it spaghetti. We just keep throwing stuff on the wall. If it works, we keep it, and we try to make it better the next time, and keep doing some of those things. But why don't you talk about your middle school band, maybe how it starts, and maybe just a little bit about your classroom and just the culture. Tell us about the culture of Saeger.
Okay. Saeger is about a middle school of about 750. We have regularly had about close to a third of the school is in our band program, and that's of course not 20 years ago it was a little less than that, but now it's around that. I think next year's about 220 of our Saeger kids are going to be in the band program, and so it's a comprehensive program. The beginning band classes are split into like instruments. So I have 4 beginning band classes: a clarinet class, a trumpet class, a low brass one, and then flute and percussion, because the percussionists are on xylophones for a large majority of their beginning band year. And then we have full ensemble classes for 7th and 8th grade band that I co-teach with my colleague Drew Seck. And then the jazz program has really taken off in the past several years. We've got two before school jazz. We meet at 6:30 a.m. Because we're a little crazy. It's a little early for jazz, but we have 2 full big bands. We have 50 kids this year that are involved in the jazz program, and we meet 3 mornings a week for those 2 different groups. And it's a full program that's really got the best interest of the kids in mind. We're trying to get them involved and connected to not only the band program, but to playing their instrument, to their school, to whatever kind of music excites them. And my colleagues and I'm really fortunate to be a part of a really strong director team. Certainly don't do all of this alone. And my colleagues and I work really hard to make it a vertical team and to make it a comprehensive 6 through 12 program. And for the kids to kind of know that when they come in, that that they've got this kind of, they have a whole thing to follow. They have a program that they can follow from 6th through 12th grade.
Oh, look, I think mom has chimed in.
My mom is on.
Shannon is awesome in so many ways. She's not biased at all whatsoever, although she's your daughter, not my daughter. Mostly she is her. Yeah, this is hilarious. Her late father's daughter. Dedication is their shared trait. Yeah, you are dedicated because, it's one of the neat things I love about talking middle school is, you say you've got the jazz component. Here you have 50 kids and 6:30 in the morning. So part of that, again, it makes me dive into like, how do you get, and what's your secret to getting kids to come at 6:30 in the morning?
I wasn't sure that they would. So just last year, our school changed bell schedule times. We used to start at 8:15. So jazz band used to begin, back when I started at Saeger at 7:15. We moved it up to 7 a couple of years ago because I asked my co-director, Drew, to join me to teach jazz, because when you see somebody who's great at something and that can help your program, you should ask them to help you. More on that later. But I asked him to join me, and he was actually at that time director at another school. And so we wanted to have a little bit more time. So we started at 7 because he had to then leave and go to another school. And then last year they changed our start time to 7:30 to line up with the high school a little bit better for transportation reasons, which was a scary thing for me because I just immediately went, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What time can we start jazz? We can't start a full hour before they have to be moving on to their class. We can't start at 6 a.m., so could we get them there at 6:30? Now, fortunately, by the time this time change happened last year, we already had a strong program. We already had 50, 40, 45 to, high 40s involved in the jazz program. And it was part of the culture already. It was a thing that the kids really wanted to do. Our jazz band played at the state conference in 2023. And so it was a very publicized event. And it was well known at that point. So when it came time for the schedule change, we just said jazz is starting at 6:30 and they're still there. I can't explain that other than they love being a part of it. And it's a huge part of what they get to do. They look at it as a we get to, not a we have to.
Right. And that's part of like why I bring that up, because, getting kids to come early for anything, it's, as I always say, trying to create the demand for learning instead of the supply of information. Cause you can pull, I was thinking, but it made me think one of my jobs, my marching band started at 6 a.m. Like we had to start and it was like almost a quarter of a mile to the practice field. So if you start at 6 a.m. and you have a full front ensemble, that good luck, kids, be in the band room by like 5:40 before you have to trudge on out there. But is jazz something that you were already, or are you a jazzer prior, or is it something you picked up? And that's why I always say that, because I think all of us, because I am a classical musician who became a jazz pedagogy person, but it came from the fact that I just believe in the process. So what do you say to a band director out there who might be thinking about starting a jazz band? And of course there's no right place for it. It could be before school, after school. It could be fun. Again, this is one of my ideas. You could do a community jazz band for like your middle schools, your high school 5 times a week, just to get something in their hands. But what do you say to the band director about starting a jazz program in a middle school?
You asked if I was a jazzer. The answer is no. I'm primarily a clarinet player, and my high school and middle school growing up didn't have a jazz program. So my first real experience with jazz was in college, and it was a jazz pedagogy class. One, and that was really it. And then when I got the job at Saeger and I had an extracurricular jazz band, I started, teaching that jazz band then, and I did a lot of learning, on the job. And that was great for, the time that I led it, I learned a lot. I asked for a lot of help and advice and things like that. But um, it really took off for me personally about 4 years ago. My colleague now, Drew, moved into the district and was teaching at another middle school, and started working on our marching band staff. And he had a passion and a lot of jazz knowledge, a passion for jazz and middle school jazz, especially. And we just started talking about it a lot in our just conversations at work. And so I said, all right, if I pick up, this summer, like if I pick up tenor sax in addition, just would you do some jazz lessons with me? Would you, could we just meet up like once a week over the summer and do some jazz work together? And just so that I feel a little bit more confident about some of this stuff with my own jazz band. And he said, sure, yeah, let's do it. And then as we started working together, I said, how would you feel about coming to teach jazz band with me? Even though you're at this other middle school, how would you feel about coming to teach with me? And he was like, I'll do that. Let's do it. And so, I think what I would say to somebody who's not feeling comfortable is just reach out to someone that is, and ask for help. And I think that that's one of the biggest things to making your kids feel like a community is for you to be a community, right? I mean, the directors and you as a director, even if you're a singleton at a school and there aren't people that you get to work with every day, reaching out to people at other schools and other places, and bringing in clinicians and bringing people that you think are better than you at something, or have something to teach you, or have something to teach your kids. And Drew definitely had a lot to teach me about jazz, and we had a lot of fun. And then I think that, that created that jazz community. They could see that we were having fun together, and that we were learning stuff and teaching each other stuff. And I'm very honest with the kids about what I'm learning from this as well, not just what they're
That's
learning.
I think that's the most. I keep saying this phrase, like the older I get, the less I know, and
Yeah,
like as I get older, and that's why I said, I bring clinicians in all the time, and I cannot tell you how much that helps me help them. And I don't know if you're like me, but I just pretty much steal every idea that I get from them and try to make it my own.
of course.
Half the time, just try to remember what they did or what they said. I've gotten to the point now I like to record things or have it written down, and then just have a summary because it reminds me of what things are. But this is a great comment, and goes back to having administrative support. But Phil Milligan says Shannon is one of the very best hires of my administration career. That speaks super highly of you, and that's fantastic. Oh, there's another comment. Shannon and her team are phenomenal. She has invested in developing young musicians and leading within our community. We are beyond thankful for her dedication and passion in leading our band program. And so for the audience out there that's listening, the comments, every once in a while the comments come and go on the show. In the last few weeks, it seems like we've had a lot more comments, and we've had administrators chime in, we've had parents chime in, we've had students chime in, and that just speaks to the legacy of what you created. And what I'm noticing, and even just looking at the pictures that are coming on, is there seems to be a really big buy-in of the culture of just belonging and all the things that you do. So, and it seems like you have a lot of traditions and a lot of things. Can you speak on some of the other things that you do and some of those other traditions you have in your program?
Sure. Yeah. The biggest thing, and I think we kind of touched on it a little bit, was just about it being a 6 through 12 band program, and really trying to get the kids involved as much as we can across the campus with each other. And so, my co-directors and I, again, we trade and we go back and forth. We call it switching, but we switch classes sometimes. So like, I go to help with the high school concert band woodwinds, and my co-director Nathan comes to teach percussion, beginning percussion once a week, and Drew comes over to beginning brass. And we just really try to make it where they see all three of us all the time. And so they're from day one, they feel like they're a part of the entire band program, as are we. Like I said at the beginning, I think the hint, or the trick to getting the kids to feel connected in like a community, is that you are connected in a community, and that you're demonstrating that to them all the time. We ask our 8th graders to do a lot of things with the high school, so they get to sit in at 8th grade night at a football game. We ask 8th graders to carry the banner in the homecoming parade each year. So there's always like 4 or so that carry the banner in front of the high school marching band. We ask the 8th graders to come to an 8th grade night with the basketball pep band, and then they can join it for the rest of the season. And that becomes a huge event as well. So we always have these big, huge. I mean, this year there were like 65 students at one
Wow.
of our 8th grade nights, and it becomes just a like a campus wide community and event, and then it's huge. From a identity standpoint for the kids, that they belong to the Spartan bands. They're a part of this continuous thing. We do elementary tours with our 8th graders where they get to go back and play for their elementary schools and play for the 5th graders. And it's kind of like a full circle moment for them. We play there's a song that I found by Andrew Ballant years ago called Introducing the Band. And it's a great first concert piece for beginners. And it introduces every section. Every section has a feature. It's the first one they learn as beginning band students. And then we pull it out again when they're 8th graders, and they play it for the 5th graders on this tour. So
Oh,
then when they get to 6th grade, they've already heard it. And they go like, oh, isn't this what the 8th graders played for us last year? I'm like, yeah, now you're going to learn how to play what the 8th graders played. And they play it as 6th graders, and then they look forward to get to play it again as 8th graders. So all of those things, just again, across the campus, we do shared concerts. We do a big thing in the spring called Jazz Central, where we share the high school concert, the high school jazz groups and middle school and one of our other middle schools as well. So there's like 6 or 7 jazz bands in the cafeteria. It's this huge setup with cafe tables and desserts and string lights and all of that jazz, if you will. But it's
uh-huh.
a shared event, and they look forward to that. That's become part of the jazz culture as well, is that they get to share this huge, desserts and cafe style concert with other jazz groups from our district, and it's a really neat thing. So we're always just looking for ways to make everybody feel connected. And that's one of my favorite things about this job is how can I bring more people in? How can I bring another student into another activity or another ensemble? Or how can I bring another one of my colleagues in to work with me on this thing? I really would prefer to do these things together with someone than by myself. So for me, it's all about the community and the family piece of it.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. Did you have a tradition about good luck coin? Do you have the is that you that has the good luck coin tradition?
Yeah, that's me. So I think there's a picture somewhere, but there's a this was a long time ago. I read a book by Chip and Dan Heath called The Power of Moments, and it's all about how why do we remember certain things from our lives more than others, and why do certain moments stand out and kind of become a huge part of who we are, and like a defining in a defining way. And there was a lot of interesting, kind of research about why certain things stand out, but also some tips and kind of ideas about how to make some of those moments, how to create some of those moments. We don't have to wait for them to happen. We can create them for ourselves and for others, and just elevating certain moments to be a little bit bigger than they are without that stuff. So we have our beginners perform in January for the first time every year. And so that year, after I read that book, I thought, what could I give them that would be kind of symbolic and not super expensive, because I'm just buying it with my own money. What can I do that will elevate this for them though, and make it kind of a neat big moment, that this is your first concert, like this is your first thing in this big huge 6 through 12 band program that you're going to get to be a part of forever. Like what's the first one look like? And I searched online for good luck tokens and things like that, and I found these green good luck coins from Oriental Trading they have a clover on one side and a good luck, it says it's a good luck coin on the other side, and you can buy them in bulk because that's good luck trading, Oriental Trading. And so I ordered the coins, and then I wrote a super cheesy poem about it being concert night, like tonight friends and family will shout hooray, and it's your first concert day and all of that. And then I said, for every concert rookie, I brought you a cookie, and I go to, the store and I buy these big trays of cookies. And so I put those on their chairs at the first, that combined rehearsal, that first concert day. And so when they come down to the combined rehearsal in the gym, and they go to their chair, there's this good luck poem with the good luck coin attached to it. And then there's trays of cookies. And that I say, like, at the end of rehearsal, you do get a cookie to take with you to lunch. And it's just first of all, they're like, oh my gosh, we get cookies. Like that's step number one, right?
I'm
We
into the
get
cookies right now. I'm
we
not
get
lying.
we get a cookie. Oh my gosh. But then the good luck coin is something that it's I think every single one of the kids is I think it helps relax them just a little bit to know that, like, they were thought of, right? They were thought of on this day, that I'm recognizing that it's a big day for them and that they might be kind of nervous. But for some kids, it even sticks around longer than that. The first time that I really realized what impact it might have, I was at a high school concert, and we were sharing, my jazz band was playing on the high school jazz concert that year. And one of my eighth graders walked over to me and said, hey, Miss Crepps, do you remember how at the beginning band concert, like our first concert, you gave us this like good luck coin? And I said, yeah, of course I remember. She didn't necessarily know that I still did it every year, right? And she was like, she reaches in her pocket and pulls it out, and she was like, I've had it with me at every performance since. Like every time I've played my saxophone, I have it with me. And it just, for me, that was like oh my gosh, I didn't think that kids would keep them forever or anything like that. But now I kind of take notice, because I'll see their band binders, on the clear fronts. I'll see somebody has their good luck coin stuck in there or in their folder, or I'll see it at a concert or somebody will mention it. And certainly not every kid does that, but it's just neat to know that for some people that was a moment, right? That was the power of moments. They remember that coin.
I do believe in the power of moments, because I really do feel personally that your life, what shapes you is a series of moments that we all have. And it might be something that somebody said and doesn't realize it. And it's one of those things I always tell people, you should actually go back and find people that maybe created that moment for you that have no ideas. I mean, I've got students in my head that said something that they think is so insignificant, but it shapes how I teach now, even 30 years after the fact, after they've said it. But I'm going to keep going on this train of all the things that you do, because in doing my research of you, it became really evident that you are so good at connection. And that's, for, some of us don't always connect well. Like sometimes we have to, I don't say to manufacture a connection, but it's one of those things that we all have to do. Because again, people remember us for how we make them feel. And so sometimes we've got to remember that has to be purposeful. And I'm still on the cookie, because I'm thinking about going to band tomorrow and looking for a cookie on my chair. So if you can send one over, that would be great.
Yeah.
But you have these other traditions that you have. Like I'm just keep going for the note that I have in my notes. But you had the holiday extravaganza and bandin time. My gosh, this is a tongue twisting episode. Holiday extravaganza and Bandentine's Day. Talk about them.
So I'm sorry that the names are difficult.
Oh my goodness.
So this is more of the idea of creating things that people can connect to. You're right. It's all about the connection. How can the kids and the staff feel connected to what we're doing every day? I mean, we spend hours and hours and hours of our lives together in these band rooms, and it's something to be celebrated, right? But it's also something to you want people to feel at home there and feel like it's a place where you can learn and there are high expectations and you can do all of that, but also a place where you can have fun and a place where you are with your friends. And so the first thing I did was Bandentine's Day, and this was probably 7 or 8 years ago. And what I told the kids, and I still do it every year, but the first year was maybe the most fun with this part, is I said, hey guys, I decided that I really like band, and I feel like it should be celebrated. And I feel like band should have a holiday. Like, I feel like band should have its own holiday. And I like holidays and I like band and I like being cheesy. So I just decided we should come up with one. And I thought, when would be a good time of year for this holiday? Well, I mean, maybe, I don't know, February is kind of dark and dreary. So like maybe we'll just put it in February. And then what day should I put it on? Well, February has 28 days. So we'll just divide it right down the middle and we'll just say the 14th for no reason other than it's the middle of February. Let's just say February 14th will be our band holiday. And then I wanted to come up with a name for it that would be unique and different and special and unlike anything I had ever heard before. So I decided to call it Bandentine's Day because I've never heard anything called like that. And the first year that I did it, the beginners were like, is she for real right now? Like, does she really not know what Valentine's Day is? Like, should we tell her? And so they're just kind of looking at me like with this kind of quizzical look. And I'm like, what? And they're like, Miss Crepps, that's Valentine's Day. And I'm like, what is that? I've never heard of Valentine's Day. That sounds like they kind of ripped off my idea, but okay, that's fine. If it's on the same day, we're going to have Valentine's Day. And then they start kind of like, oh, okay. And especially, I mean, we do it for all 3 grade levels, but it's especially, I think the beginners, middle school is its own beast, right? And 6th graders are really just elementary kids plus 1, and they go from this elementary school experience where they do have class parties and things like that to middle school where it's a very different culture. And so I thought this is a way for them to feel like kids again, and for us to celebrate band and celebrate why we love band and celebrate our classmates. And we spend a lot of time before it talking about we have kind of guiding principles for our band program. And one of them is community. And we talk about community and building community, getting to know each other and celebrating with each other. And so they all get literally a like brown lunch bag, to decorate, and we have a contest, and it's prizes for the best bag, and they can bring stickers and individually wrapped things and pencils or whatever to pass out to their classmates, or they don't have to. And then I always give them all something, which is a note that says, I'm glad you're a part of our community because, and I write them all a short note. But I also get some kind of, this year it was music note keychains. One year it was pop rocks because it was like my band students rock, so it's always something that I put in everybody's bag along with a note. And then we have a little contest for who has the best bag. And it becomes a whole thing. The next year, the first year they see other people's bags and they go, oh my gosh, next year my bag is going to look better and I'm going to do this. Or, by the time they're 8th graders, they just really think the treats are cool and that it's fun to celebrate something they've done for a few years. But it's a whole process, and it gives me a chance just to be silly with the kids and for them to be kids. I mean, that day I always look around taking the pictures of the kids who really like dove into decorating their bag. And I'm like, they're just really, again, they're just kids. They're just trying to have fun and be kids. And it's so sweet and innocent what some of them decorate their bags. Like sometimes my face ends up on bags. This year I was a Lego directing. This student made a whole conveyor belt out of mechanical Legos to drop his treats into his bag. He won in his class for sure. But it's a neat experience. And on the day that I give them the bags, I bring out this thing of plastic bags, which I most definitely got at Target, right? And I walk around and I say, I'm sorry that the bags, I'm just not getting the bags to you, but there was a shipping delay. These are special. They have to be, these are not your run of the mill bags. They don't come from like Target or Amazon. They come from all over the world. Valentine's Day bags have to be like, cured from around the world. And I will tell you where your bag came from when I get to you. And so then as I walk by them and hand them their bag, on the fly, I just make something up. Like, your bag came from Australia. Had to fight a kangaroo for this bag, or this bag was actually the bag on a bagpiper's instrument. And I took it and made it into this for you. Some of them were flags that flew on, they were part of the royal family, heirlooms. Like whatever I come up with, and the kids laugh about every single one. And then sometimes they turn that into their bag's decoration. So like this year, a kid definitely decorated his bag to look like it was from Scotland because that's what I told him when I walked by him. So, it's a chance for us to be silly and have fun because that's where you build the connections, I think.
Okay. You need to do something. This is and again, you don't have to do anything I say. That's why I always tell people everything I say. No, I'm just the idea guy. You need to put all of your things somewhere for all of us to go like, oh, that's a great idea. Because I'm already like, I still have my list of things I want to ask you about because I'm getting more questions by the moment as we talk. First off, the other thing, if this is your teaching voice, I am enamored with the fact of how calm, and your kids must find you to be amazingly calm. I love it. There's Vicky Treadway. I had to
Oh my
step away for
gosh.
a minute. I had the privilege of starting Shannon. Oh, this is former band director in beginning band through graduation. She was an excellent student. I love her dearly. I'm so proud of her and her success. I even had the opportunity to teach with her. Oh, with see, that's
She
amazing to be able to
did.
get to teach with your former band director. I got to do it. Hey, bud.
Yeah.
After 43 years of teaching, I learned a great deal from her. She is a treasure. See, and that goes to that full circle thing. The older I get, the less I know, and you can learn from so many things. It's so neat to have that community. All right, but I'm serious. You need to make this
Okay.
list of all the things you do and just put it somewhere where all of us can go find it. Because I'm now thinking I need to also make a list of all the books. I have to go back to all the episodes and now get all the books that people have been
Yeah.
mentioning because now it's the point of like we talk about it on the episode, but now it's like, okay, now it's 7 books ago. What book was that?
Right.
I really,
Right.
and that's what's going to happen. I'm literally typing all my notes in my little chat box here so I don't lose it because we're going to keep going because I think I'm going to run out of
Okay.
time asking you about all the things that you do. So let's talk about the brick wall.
Oh, the brick wall.
All right. Tell us about the
So,
brick wall.
all right. Well, my second year at Saeger, I wanted to come up
Oh,
with a
look
way
at the brick
for
wall.
kids to leave their mark, so to speak. Again, something that they could say, we've dedicated our time here because we do dedicate so much of that time. And this was way back in 2007. But when I asked my principals at the time if I could have the kids do something, as long as it was, it was a maintained thing. Could we create like a border going around the band room where they would get to sign when they finish their eighth grade year? And they said, yeah, as long as, you have a plan for it and it's contained and it's not just signing wherever. So this is at the top, right. That's the doorway right there. And we've now made it around 2 of the 4 walls of the band room. And that's our band logo that goes in between every year. But at the end of their 8th grade year, one of the last couple of days of school, they get to choose a Sharpie color and sign the wall. And it's just very specific. Like you can only sign your first and last name and don't sign over anybody else and all of that. But it's a big deal where they get called up like one section at a time and they get to choose
Oh,
their color and sign. And it's very visible now because now it's a whole border around 2 sides of the room. And the kids and beginning band, they immediately go, how do I get to do that when they come in? Like, when do I get to sign the wall? And I'm like, oh, at the end of 8th grade, you still have to be in band at the end of 8th grade to get to sign. It's not, you can't sign it this year. And so I've had kids come up to me and tell me that like on when they're about to go up to sign. I've had a couple students that are like, I've been choosing my Sharpie color for 3 years. Like I've been thinking about what color I'm going to pick. And that was one of them. That's again, there are moments where your kids let you know how important something is to them. And that was one of those for me when I went, oh my gosh, they think about this more than I thought they think about this. But for me, it's cool. Again, since our campus is shared and the kids mostly go right across the parking lot to the high school. We do a lot of things where sometimes we might have a rehearsal in the middle school band room because we need the space, especially during say marching band season. And so there are times where the high school kids end up in that middle school band room again, or they're there for community band or something like that. And you'll see them walking around the room and they're trying to find their brick and their name, and they're looking for a lot of the alumni when they come back for community band. They find their name on the wall and where they signed it. And so, the directors sign it every year as well. So it's a neat kind of record. A few years ago, one of my 6th grade clarinet classes were like, what are you going to do when you get all the way around and you run out of room? And I was like, well, guys, I won't still be teaching here then. And they're like, wait, what? And I was like, that we're on, this year right here. My retirement year will probably be right about there. I give or take a couple, but I'm not going to make it to all the way to the other side. And it like devastated this beginning clarinet class. They're like, what do you mean you won't be here anymore? And I was like, well, people can't teach just forever. I mean, you do at some point retire. And so then that group calculated where my retirement brick would be and how they were going to throw me a party and no one else got to do it. And what if the next director doesn't, keep the bricks going? And I was like, I don't know. It won't be ours to decide at that point, guys, but maybe they will. So again, it's a part of our culture. One of the high school students a couple years ago called it Saeger band lore, and like how the room was just full
That
of
should be
stuff.
the name of the page where you put all
Saeger
this
band
stuff.
lore. Yeah.
All right. So my share is I inherited one of those things where the previous band director put all the seniors' names on poster. Well, apparently the poster maker doesn't exist anymore, and so we changed it to is every class at my school has a different color. So and so what we do is we take that color and we take the seniors and they actually get their handprint on paint and
Oh,
they get
cool.
to go and put their handprint in the back of the auditorium. So now here comes year 4 for me at this school, and I think this year is pink. But it's really neat every day because I go back and forth between the band room and the choir room. So I always stop and look at all of because it's drama, it's band, it's choir, and it's one of those neat traditions that just became above the band. And so it's why I love talking about traditions, because traditions start somewhere, and like what you said, scaringly, they end somewhere. Like we do retire
Yeah.
kids. It does inevitably happen. But the thought that thought of please don't leave that's just so special. But I got another one for you to talk about, because
Okay.
this is the one I think I found to be the most exciting in terms of like band pedagogy, I guess, is that you have a signing day for when your kids choose their instruments. And I think this is super neat and super special. Can you please talk about your signing day experience?
Sure. So, instrument selection night, as we call it, is for fifth graders when they get to come and try the different instruments,
Oh,
right? To
well,
see.
I gotta interrupt for just a second. So, to
Yeah.
our audience who's not out there, this is fantastic. Like, this is like I'm learning as we go, but it is the pictures of all the kids. They've got like the school logo, the drape. We all have our own school logo picture thing that we all have. But I love the fact you have those huge letters that say SMS, and the kids are standing right next to it, holding their brand new. I'm sure it's their brand new instrument for them. But anyway, I didn't
Yeah.
mean to interrupt, but I wanted to
No, you're
describe
good.
exactly what's going. But go ahead.
Yeah, this is the backdrop changes sometimes from year to year. That's this year the school got the light up letters in the backdrop, and I was like, "Ooh, let's use those." Other years it's been like we made our own backdrop, or we had a big logo in the back. We've done some different things, but the idea again was it's another way to elevate an experience. And so they come for instrument selection night as fifth graders. They get to try out the different, band instruments and see what might be a good fit for them. It's a chance for us to guide them to the one that they'll be the most successful on, or the couple that they can list as their first and second choices. And then we do this in usually November or December, because our students in our school district, they have to choose classes for the next year in January. And so when they choose their classes in January, I want them to know what they're going to get to do in band so that they pick band. And so right before those registrations happen, they get an email from me that says, "Welcome to band. You've been chosen to play the clarinet." And it has a picture of a clarinet, and it has sometimes like a top 10 list about band. And I've included a welcome video from me before. It just kind of depends on the year, but they get this right before it's time to sign up. They get this welcome. You're a part of this. Welcome to the band. You're going to get to play this. But on the night that they choose, when they finish the whole selection process and they give me their first and second choices, then we have eighth graders run a photo booth of sorts, and they go over to the photo booth. They have them hold the two top choices that what they put down as their first and second choice, and they kind of pose them in front of the backdrop. Eighth graders will hold these little signs up that say the names of the instruments, because we know that they, forgot what the name of it was already or how to spell it, and they put those in. And then we take pictures on my iPad or my phone or whatever to, use for the social media stuff. But then we also take Fujifilm, like little Polaroids, right? And they get to take home their first band souvenir is this little tiny, Polaroid picture of them with their instruments. And I say, welcome to band. Now you're official. And it's just kind of a neat moment. I like to go back and look at those pictures and say like, oh yeah, those kids all still play those instruments, or they're still here. And it's just a way to kind of make it an event for them. And again, a memorable moment.
So you said, a bunch of traditions, and like I said, I'm just getting enamored with the whole process. But you said another couple of things I'm going to point out is that you've always said the eighth graders going back to the beginning, eighth graders going back to the beginning. And so my question is you do obviously a lot to influence how your kids stay in band, participate in band, want to keep coming to band, all those going forward in band. As I say, lifelong musician. It's a cool thing to do. But do you have some type of student leadership that helps you out with this? I mean, do you possibly do all this on your own and just keep doing it, or do you have some type
No.
of how do you shape some of this? Because it sounds like how much ownership do the kids take for some of the things that you do?
Well, for sure, our high school students, we have high school leadership team that we do for the marching band in the fall, and the section leaders for that are our leadership team, and we do a leadership camp for them. My co-director Nathan is an excellent leadership coach and runs a camp for them that we all are there to support, and the high school section leaders help a lot when it comes to recruiting and getting those eighth graders involved on things like eighth grade nights. We don't have over the years, it's almost 2 decades in the same place. So we have tried leadership teams at the middle school from time to time and done some different things. Eventually I found that it was better just to teach all of the kids some leadership skills, teach them all about the commitment in the community and all of those things rather than a select group of leaders at that level. But I think that at the high school level, for sure, when they're really ready to take those positions on, it's invaluable. What they do for the program and what they do for the culture is huge.
So curiously, have you always been this way? Like, have you always been a person that just naturally puts this fosters this culture of acceptance, belonging, community, all the buzzwords? Because, like I said, for some of us, it's not that you have to, it has sometimes have to be purposeful to create the culture for your own self to get that to happen in your own band program. I can think of even myself. Sometimes we get so task oriented. Here it is, festival season in high school land, and sometimes you forget. Oh my gosh, we are teaching humans,
Yeah.
and those humans need to feel pride and joy. And is this something that has come naturally to you, or something that you've just kind of walked into?
I think it is. I think it's just I don't I mean I
Well, we
think
could
that
ask
is
your
just
mother.
true.
She was on there earlier.
My mom
So
was on here and
mom, chime in
my
there for a second.
my mom was here, my beginning band director was here. I
Oh
think
yeah,
everybody
and your principal, whoever
my
hired you was
principal.
here.
Yeah.
And we've got some
Um
evidence going here.
uh I think that this is this is my favorite part of band culture is the community part and the connection part. I mean, I love making music, don't get me wrong, and I love being a musician, I love being a teacher, but my favorite part of any of the band experiences that we've talked about today is
Mhm.
the group aspect of it and the bringing people together and bringing students together and bringing colleagues together and I'm just always looking for a way to get more people involved and widen my circle um and be be around more people that are great influences for me and for my students. And so, um, again, that's what I enjoy about it. So I think that yes, if I've always been that way, if you if that to put it that way. But I think that it's something that can be fostered. I don't think it has to be, I know you said like some people have to work a little harder at that connection piece of things. I think it can be fostered for sure. I think it's what fits, right? Like what fits
Oh,
your
mom chimed in.
my mom again. Yeah. What fits your band and your style. And for what it's worth, like all these things that are traditions, they still get modified a little bit here and there depending on the year and the culture and the kids and how things work better for the groups that we have in front of us. And so I guess that answers your question maybe.
It does. Well, here comes my last question of the day
Sure.
before we get on to like maybe you can share a little bit more, maybe some parting advice for everybody, whatever. I mean, I can tell you what culture means to you is fascinating. You should start like a service where people can call Shannon and have her. I need a band tradition. Shannon, got some ideas for me? Send it down. I mean, you could be the
I would
culture
do that.
warrior here. I know you would be
A
great at it.
culture consultant. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that sounds awesome. But what advice would you give to directors who want to build some long-lasting traditions and strengthen their own identity of their program, or just, maybe just something that just comes to mind? Because as I keep saying it, not this doesn't come natural to everybody, not even
Sure.
myself. And so it's just a thought about building traditions, maybe some advice or just a general word.
I think this is where you have to really be really reflective and evaluate your own program and yourself, and be okay with saying, maybe you do some self reflection and evaluation, or maybe you bring we love to bring in people to give us some program evaluations sometimes too. And I think it can be really eye opening to be very honest with yourself about what are the strengths of your program, and what are not the strengths of your program. And if you're really looking to build traditions and memorable moments, then what you do first is you lean on the strengths, right? You lean on what's already going well that I can capitalize on. I can make this a bigger deal, right? And if that's your jazz program, or if that's what you do with your beginners, or if that's the eighth grade nights that you do with your high school, then lean hard on those first, and make those, elevate those, take those to the next level, because then that starts to generate its own excitement, right, for the kids. You've got these bigger things, and that gives you, I think, then some flexibility to try new things, to try to add something in maybe an area that might not be a strength of yours. Like what I said before. I mean, the program was strong, and the program was already, a large part of our school and our community, but jazz wasn't my strength. And so, but I waited to do that until I had a lot of other things going well, and I felt very good about a lot of other things. And then I went, what can I do better? What can I learn? And how can I then bring that along for my kids? And invite the people that you want to learn from. I mean, that's step number one. Who do you want to learn from? Don't be afraid to ask for help. Um, we all need it. None of us are experts in every aspect of band. And you can't be. So I don't try to be. I regularly tell the kids, I ask my co-directors when they're better at something, I ask them for help on that, or advice on that, or I ask them to teach it and let me watch them, because that's where we all grow, and then you can add.
All right. Well, it has come to that point. We've been going for 56 minutes. I always get shocked at the little timer up in the corner, because it's in my brain. It's like we're just like 20 minutes in, like, oh my gosh, it's
Yeah,
already been 56 minutes. So maybe a final thought just in general about culture, or maybe just a little bit, maybe something you want to share, and then maybe we can get a way to, that people can connect to you.
sure.
Besides, we can share your website again, because I said I'm dead serious about, you need to collect that list of things you do. Here's my recipe book for creating my culture. But what's some of your final thoughts today for culture?
Uh, I think for me, culture it's all about the connection, the community part of things, the family part of things, the group aspect of stuff. And I think that um, we all do our best to connect to every single kid, but I think a reminder that you can't connect to every single kid, that somebody else might be better for that kid. And that's part of, again, bringing in other experts, but also leaning on your colleagues, and making sure that every kid is getting connected with someone, but remind yourself that it's not to take it personally if it's not you. So I think for me, it's all about the group dynamic, and the individual aspect. You do the best that you can with every kid every day, sure, but then you have to step back and evaluate it as a group. Is this a place where people keep coming back? Is this a place where people feel connected? I mean, at the community band concert this past Monday night, just for me, it was there's 150 people performing. Some of them are my current students, some of them are my former students, some of them are alumni who went to my middle school ages ago. Some of them are band parents whose, again, kids aren't even playing anymore. And I think that that's where I take the pulse of our band program is, are people still coming to things long after they have no obligation to? And whether that's performances, community band, alumni night with the A band was a picture that we showed earlier, where we have 65 of our alumni come play with the high school band too. If people keep coming to things long after their obligation to come is expired, then you've created a place where they feel connected, and where they feel a part of the community, a part of the family, and they feel valued. And that's what those relationships are all about.
Well, Shannon, I cannot thank you enough for being here today, but your email just popped on. It's Shannon.Crepps, which is well, it's actually 3 N's on the Shannon, SHANNON.Crepps, CREPPS at FHSDschools.org. So it's Shannon.Crepps at FHSDschools.org. That's a lot for my mouth to take in. I'm just throwing out there. And it's SaegerSpartanBands.com, as we spelled it earlier. But I just want to thank you so much. You shared some amazing, fascinating things, and I am just enamored with who you are as a director, and you are to be commended for who you are.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for being on the show.
Enjoyed talking.
All righty, kids. That's another show. Believe it or not, I forgot to mention this. This was show number 50. I cannot believe it. But we are so glad you could join us today. And just a reminder, if you're watching, you can share it on Facebook. You can share it anywhere. You can share it to your socials. But take this video stream and share it, because the more people that connect with us, the more we have. My email address is david.duarte@me.com. If you want to connect, I have been connecting to so many people and meeting so many of you. It has been so inspiring. But this is just a friendly reminder that you can get our past episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. And we'd also love to have you stay connected with us at musicforall.org/podcast. I also want to thank my team, especially today. We do some extra work on bringing our guest today. But thanks to Patrick for doing all the work behind the scenes today. You did some amazing things. And thank you to Yamaha, our wonderful national presenting sponsor. So hope to see you again next week on Culture Before Content. I'm David Duarte, your host, and I'll see you soon.